MedBix Webcast is a new kind of healthcare media channel to break the silo mentality and foster interdisciplinary thinking. Our mission is to fill that gap and to create a curiosity through different lenses, tapping the passion that guided the historical figures in medicine and bringing present-day groundbreaking research to the front lines. We interview physicians and leaders in the industry about present-day healthcare challenges on our live programming. Welcome to the MedBix Webcast. This is Raman Annamaraju. I'm the host. No, I'm not Albert Einstein. Maybe my guest is. So I think we have an excellent program today. And then I have this is one of the things that I'm going to introduce you the guest in a few minutes. But I'm presenting a topic on extraordinary women in the history. The women are neglected. They're underreported, undervalued in the history. Gender bias is very prevalent. I don't have to tell you; everybody knows about that. But it's so. If you bring it to the front lines of their achievements and accomplishments, you understand what the woman did. Particularly this woman who stood between the Russia and Ukraine. This woman who sacrificed a lot of things for her life and stood between the Ukraine and Russia. And now I'm going to talk with a guest from Ukraine. He is from Ukraine originally, but he is a land of Cajun, Louisiana. He went to school there. His name is Rostyslav Semikov. Doctor. He did a medical degree he did a medicine in Ukraine. Then he moved to California. He went to Louisiana, south, where I'm from Georgia. So we have a southern courtship up there. Then he did a fellowship in a postdoctoral fellowship in neuroscience in the Neuroscience Center for Excellence in the Louisiana State University. Then after that, he started Audubon. Audubon is, I didn't know that Audubon is I used to go to a lot of conferences to New Orleans. I didn't know that Audubon is a place that there's the university campus is there. So he started a company called in Houston, Audubon Bioscience Biobank. They supply samples to the clinical research companies. We'll ask him what he does exactly. So let me bring him. Welcome, Dr. Russ. I hope I said right your name, Rostyslav Semikov. Is that right?
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Mona. That's correct.
Could you please give your background a little bit, your personal and professional background?
I'm Ukrainian. Moved to Houston, Texas recently, 3 years ago when COVID started. Before that, I spent 2 years in Louisiana, 1 year as an exchange student on a government program, and then 1 year as a postdoc fellow at Neuroscience Center of Excellence in Dr. Nicholas Bazan lab in 2016-17. While doing the lab work, we started a company there in Louisiana in the center of New Orleans. That's why it has Audubon name. And I'm focusing the last 7 years on supporting cancer researchers, supporting precision medicine researchers, providing them valuable building blocks for their research, biosamples and clinical data. So I'm married, have 2 kids, beautiful wife, and happy to answer your questions.
Okay, thank you. You speak English very well. I didn't know that you spend that short amount of time in the United States. Your English is better than a lot of people that people spend years and years here. Before I get into the situations, what is the cancer situation, state of the cancer? We are growing number of cancer cases are growing up. We have older people are because this is the onslaught of cancer is increasing even among young people. I thought it's a older people disease, but it's increasing in a large number among young people. What do you think the causes, and how do we solve this cancer epidemic in the United States and overall around the world?
Well, situation in the United States is getting better in terms of cancer. If you look statistics, cancer death are down like 30% in the last 30 years. U.S. Is better than most of the world in terms of early diagnostics and effective treatment. A number of people who smoke and some other cancer factors are significantly less nowadays than they were a few decades ago. And still, there is a lot to improve, of course, but majority of cancer nowadays are happening in developing world, and statistics there is very terrifying. It's growing, it's increasing, getting younger. The treatments aren't as available. Diagnostics happens later when treatment are much less effective. So it becomes more and more burden on developing countries. And there is a new moonshot governmental program on cancer to decrease it within next 25 years, significantly reduce 25, 30, 50%. So there are ambitious goals here in the US, and there are resources available, and cancer research is also progressing. There are new therapies being available. Immunotherapy is groundbreaking achievements, and there is a lot of hopeful and there is a lot of great stuff happening in the cancer research field, but it's a complicated problem.
Yeah, that's what he said. It's a good news that is progressing very well, and then new therapies are coming. One is you thought about immunotherapy. I just made a comment recently. I want to show our audience that the CAR T cell therapy. I don't even know what is the CAR T cell therapy is. The immunotherapy, part of the immunotherapy, but that is the cancer reduction in the cancer within few weeks. It's a drastically reduced. So it's looks like a very promising cancer research in the CAR T cell therapy. What do you think of what is a CAR T cell therapy, uh, Dr. Semikov? I have no idea what that is exactly. If you can explain to us.
Yeah, if in very simple terms, it's a immunotherapy treatment. And what does it mean, immunotherapy? The idea is to help body heal itself. So immune system in cancer usually is not working. That's why cancer cells are growing and spreading, because they act like undercover normal cells, and immune system does recognize them. So immunotherapy is making these cancer cells
To
recognizable.
recognize them much easier, right?
Yeah, recognizable for immune system, which then kills them. So in this case, CAR T cells, they are genetically altered in the lab, immune cells of own body. So they are taken from the patient's body, genetically altered in the lab, and then put them back in patient body, and they're enabled to destroy cancer cells more effectively. So it's kind of chimeric antigen receptor T cell therapy, so called.
There is a tremendous research going on in all fronts of the cancer research, right? In the radiation oncology side, medical oncology, and the immunotherapy. What you are saying. So maybe in the future is a photon therapy or a light therapy. All these things, but for that a very important is they do a lot of research. They need samples, right? They need to provide a very high quality samples. They if without a good samples you put a garbage in garbage out, as you say, that you if you don't have the good samples you don't get the good results. The precision medicine requires good samples. Can you expand on that idea, please?
Yes, cancer is not a single disease. It's a group of diseases, and right now there are like more than 200 different types of disease, particularly taken into genetics into account. When on one place, there could be a number of genetically different types of cancer. Each of them is reacting differently to various treatments. So one particular drug kills this type of lung cancer, but it's totally not effective to another mutation type of center. Uh, so it's very important to understand the nature and mechanics of cancer, and see how it works, different types of um, mutations, how they react to treatment, and then to validate the new assays and new molecules in vitro on cells before they go to animal studies and then to clinical studies on human. So, in order to do this research and validations, scientists they need tissue samples, blood samples, which are taken after operation has been performed on a patient, what's been removed from the patient body. Part is kept for diagnostics purposes, and the rest is usually discarded. And this is what has been discarded. We ask patients to donate and doctors to share with researchers, which then is taken to make life savings diagnostics and treatments.
Dr. Semikov, we went through a pandemic recently, and then we have a mRNA vaccine came in. It's a platform, the mRNA platform they developed at the NIH and all those places. What did the role they play, this mRNA, in the future of the cancer treatment or cancer therapies?
Um, I've seen recently very hopeful results of clinical trials stage two when they combine mRNA vaccines, cancer vaccines, and immunotherapies, which give significantly better outcomes in a number of cases. But it's too early to say 100% the results. It's quite often happens that promising therapy fails in clinical trial three, stage three. So we have to wait. There is a promise. The idea is again that immune system can produce antibodies against cancers if we teach immune system what these cancer antigens are. So the idea behind seems good, but cancer is very changing. It's like with HIV/AIDS. The problem of making a vaccine against HIV/AIDS is the change in the mutation, very rapidly changing um, virus. Here, it's very rapidly changing cells of cancer and metastasis, which also are different often. And it's a challenge that a lot of scientists are working on to solve.
You work with wet labs, right? A lot of wet labs. So you provide samples to the regular labs. But is there any computers can do simulation of these? A lot of reduce your time doing is a drastic reduction of the simulation process you can do. And then I will ask you after that artificial intelligence role, AI role in this cancer research in the science, particularly precision medicine. And can you comment on that one, please?
Yes. I was going to start with AI that I have seen evidence of AI based systems predicted, and there are a few antibiotics we got to their late stage right now and been proved effective in a few resistant um microorganisms, which were found using AI. When the scientists had a lot of formulas, thousands, or it was like 10,000 formulas, which would take them years to do manually, to test manually in the lab. And AI ran through and found 10 or 15, which were predicted to be high efficient in this case against this particular microbes. And it turned out that they did, and they found few who were actually effective, and they were tolerable by our organism. and it went through. So you can Google and you can find that there
Yes.
are already achievements when you can predict on the models, not on physical models or organoids. There is another organoids or mice models, rat models, animal models. This is where science relies mostly until very recent. So there are promises of AI, but I haven't seen any achievements in cancer field yet. Cancer scientists still rely on mice and rats, including you probably have many people in the field know the story of Dr. Jim Allison from a lab across the street from where our office is, and from Anderson, where on mice he performed research and found out immunotherapy been effective and got a Nobel Prize in 2018 for the research that he did decades earlier. And his story is that he was working with mice and went on the Christmas holidays. And when he came back, he thought the mice are dead, but they turned out to beat the cancer because they gave them this particular antibodies, which causes their immune system to kill the cancer. So that's how immunotherapy was born. So mice and rats for decades have been working and still work, but much research, a lot of trials are failing in humans after they give promise in animals. So it's still very complicated to transfer from organism of animal to a human, and it's not we're not there yet to fully eliminate and just go rely on AI.
So eventually, your goal is to AI goal is at least to reduce the number of trials in that sense, reduce the trial and error methods to reduce that. That is your goal.
And
Let me
make them
ask you.
faster and less expensive, because trials takes years and they
Yes.
need a lot of patience, and it's high expense. New drugs, cancer drugs, they cost nowadays $2-3 billion and more, because out of 10,000 molecules which are theoretically made by scientists, one or two comes to the market. So it's huge and long way where with a lot of losses. So if AI can even partially reduce that time and reduce the cost, it will be a huge benefit.
You know that this is recently Google said that protein folding is the biggest challenge for a lot of these computers, and Google DeepMind said that they solved the problem. Did it solve really the DeepMind the protein folding problem? Still, it is a in very infancy stage, in the beginning stages we are at.
Um, I would hesitate to say that someone solved the problems until we have enough evidence and facts that it's been
Yeah,
working on large scale.
yeah.
That it's not one case or two cases, but there are tens or hundreds of successful repeated studies, because in um, biomedical research, it's a very common problem, so-called irreproducible data. When you
Yeah.
see articles being published in top professionals, starting from research lab number one in the world and going all the way down, and other labs cannot repeat it, which means it's doesn't it lacks scientific base, because
Yeah.
repeatability of the experiments is the base of any science and any research. And such irreproducible research, I've seen data saying that it's 50 to 90% of publications, including top peer review journals. So if companies they are less even binded by their words. So if people say something, it doesn't necessarily mean that they achieved
Yeah.
they are there.
Healthcare requires high standards and Six Sigma levels, or highest quality standards required, because it involves a lot of lives. So you just not claiming is not enough. You need what you're saying is you need a large number of data to prove outcomes to prove, and the clinical trials and all these things. Then you have to go through a lot of steps before you say that it's working. So that is a lot of things. A lot of general population never
Yes.
understands that aspect of it.
And
So
even if it works in one person, even if it works in one person, doesn't necessarily mean it will work in another person. Immunotherapy, which I mentioned, and it was so highly recognized, it was indeed breakthrough. It works from 15 to 30% people, cancer patients, depending on cancer type and depending on many other factors which we don't know. So it's one of the big questions in cancer is why immunotherapy works in one patient and it doesn't work in another patient. And a lot of scientists are searching that. Again, MD Anderson, they have a number of programs. And I've been recently visiting the BMS event where MD Anderson scientists were sharing their research and data, and they were saying that they lack biospecimens to do more studies and deeper studies to understand better the nature and why it's working in one patient and doesn't work in other patients. Many drugs, including immunotherapy. So it is medicine and the human organism. It's
yeah,
a big mystery, and there are a lot
is
to learn.
it is a big mystery.
And we have to
I'm
be
a
careful.
I'm a physicist. Albert Einstein, he tried to combine all the natural forces, gravity, electromagnetic waves, strong nuclear force. He want to combine the unified field theory because he want to be one force. So human body came from a cellular. It started with a cell. If the cells are common to everybody, the same thing, what is that? What is the origin? That is, we became so many different cancers, different precision treatments. Still, we have to go a long way to understand that the beginning, the origins of the genesis of that cancer itself, right?
Um, I believe it's easier to understand what goes wrong in terms of general concept. Is there are so many genes in a cell? It's like 20,000 genes, and they've been decoded. There is a human atlas, gene atlas program done in 90s, and then CPTAC is Cancer Consortium protein analysis program done by NCI, which we also collect samples for, where they decode particular cancers. And it's cancer's problem is a disease of genes or disease of information mistake when the replication happens. And there are so many genes, and once they replicate constantly, there are trillions of cells in the patient body, and each one replicates all the time. And if a mistake happens, there are so many mistakes potential it could happen. And then one cancer survives and starts developing, an immune system doesn't kill it, and then it could again change it from one mutation to another, to another, to another. So having a lot of information is very easy to mess up. It's hard to make a mistake in a smaller volumes of information. It's easy to make mistakes, and things can go wrong when you have a lot of information. When you have to remember and type by heart the whole book, there is much more chance that you will remember and do it. Much smaller chance, more chance of mistake than you remember and repeat one phrase.
Yes.
So this is like problem of uh, a lot of information.
So basically, number game, a lot of numbers involved. Basically, is huge number game. That number theory is a very complex theory. In fact, it is a very you can run into the. So yeah, you're from Ukraine and you start a foundation. I'm going to come back. I'm going to present a topic as actually about Ukraine and Russia. This is going to be interesting for you, a woman who is involved in this one. So I'm going to after that I'm going to come back and ask you about your foundation a little bit. What you're doing with your Peace Foundation. So let me present my topic first. You're going to present. You're going to be along with me. Watch this presentation. You can jump in
Yeah.
any time in between. Okay. So there's a Dr. Rostyslav Semikov. Excellent, excellent analysis you gave on the cancer prognosis. So I'm going to talk about that woman that the cancer therapy is talking about. There was a Russian. Now he is from. Let me bring both of us in the side. Okay. Now there is a war going on, as everybody knows, between Russia and Ukraine. A lot of bloodshed is going on between Russia and war. There's a war going on. Literally, people are dying. So, so this is not the first time happened. Actually, it was happened before. It is a Crimean War in 1853 to 1856. There was a Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine is not a country at the time, but Ukrainian population were fighting against Russia during the 1853-1856. It is a three brutal war. Crimean War is one of the most brutal wars of the century. They say is across the between Russia and Ukraine. I tell you how that is involved. It is actually Ukraine is not a country at the time. Dr. Semikov, if I say anything wrong factually, please correct me. So Ukraine is not a country at the time. It is
Not an
basically
independent, not an independent country. We lost independence to Russia 300 years before.
yes.
So it was a country, but then we got occupied.
Yeah, she's occupied by Ottoman Empire, if I understand. Ottoman Empire, as used to have the Ukrainian population, Ottoman Empire, it was a big empire. He occupied several lands. So Russia invaded Ottoman Empire, he invaded Ukrainian Crimean Peninsula to get the Ukrainian ethnic population where the large number of ethnic Ukrainians live. So Russia invaded it. So Turkey at the time is the Ottoman Empire is now is country called Turkey. It doesn't have the strength to face off the Russian army. It's a brutal army. There's a very strong army. So they asked the help of England. So England and France came to rescue, not because they like they want to get involved with this thing. What the Turkey told them to the England is actually Russia is interested in invading India. So India is a prized position for England. So they don't want to lose the India for Russia. So they said that okay, we're going to send the troops for you, and they send the troops. Russia, England, and France send the troops. In the troops, this is a first modern war for humanity. Crimean modern war is naval ships. First time naval shells are used. Very powerful bombs, bomber shells. Then railways are for transportation. They use it for railways to move the goods and supplies and the personnel and the telegraph communications. They're all involved. First time in the humanity. First time is a modern war started in Crimea between Russia and England. So this is a war between Russia and England, basically. So Crimean War is actually biggest failure in not in any front. Actually, it's a medical failure because they didn't expect medical problem are going to crop up. Is the Russian winters caused a lot of problems, and medical problems are became a bigger problem there. So in the Crimean War, 1853 and 1856, during that time, 1853, 500,000 people dead from this Crimean War. Think about extrapolate that population now maybe like 5 million, 3, 4 million people died between Russia and England. The total number of people dead is 500,000 people dead. Not from actually from the war itself. They're from the diseases they died. Most of them people died because of medical failure. They did not equip anything with the medical side, so they most of them died from medical failures. So that is where the story of this woman starts. Um, Her name is Her name is Florence Nightingale, a privileged intellect. She started, as the story starts there. Why? I'm going to explain to you why she did. She is a global citizen. She was born in 1810 in the Florence, Italy. She is a British origin, and then her father is a diplomat, and she was born in Florence. That's why she got the name Florence Nightingale. So she was named after the city of Italy, Florence. Florence Nightingale was born in 1810. She is a global citizen. She then she loved mathematics. You know that was born after 100 years after the Newton and Leibniz, two top-notch mathematicians and physicists. They were, and then she was also learning from her father, and then top-notch mathematicians from England, William Petty and Carl Pearson. Both of them are very famous mathematicians. Are teaching her because women cannot go to the school and learn math. She had a love for mathematics. People don't know Florence Nightingale started her career with the mathematics itself, a love for mathematics. Then she went for nursing school in Germany. She's a global wanderer. She's truly a global citizen. She went to nursing school in Germany, Lutheran Hospital in Germany, in Hamburg, I think. She graduated from the Germany, and then after that, she took 50 nurses from there to Crimean Front. They know Crimean Front because 21st October 1854, she arrived at the Istanbul, Turkey, across the Black Sea, across the Crimean Peninsula, where the action going on right now. That is where she took all the 50 nurses there. Istanbul, Turkey. It is a very people. So she is a mathematician, and she loved to care for people. She was a nurse. Nursing job was not a highly respected. It's a menial kind of a job during the time, but she was there is no like a profession like a nurses. So she took 50 of them to the Crimean front, in the battlefront. She's a woman of daring nature. She is a aristocratic family. She doesn't need to do this kind of things. But British medical catastrophe, 25% of the British people, British soldiers are dying with these, usual suspects. Typhus, cholera, and malaria, they're dying in large numbers. 25% of deaths in the bunkers. That was a medical procedure. She was shocked. She was witness to this, the catastrophe in her first hand. She saw the large number of people are dying because of the diseases that they inflicted, not from the war itself. So this woman, she's a statistician, mathematician. She invented the rose shot. Actually, she invented the rose shot. First public health data analyst she was. She created this road chart. If you want to analyze this road chart, very simple and straightforward. With data visualization, she is the number one. She's the mother of data visualization. What she did was, you see the pink color. That's all the people who died in the by all the pies, like a pizza pies. They're all month by month. She gave the pink colors are dead from the direct injury from the war field in the battlefield itself. The blue pie, that is all died from the diseases. See that how unproportionate, highly proportionate, the number of deaths due to the diseases are way higher than the deaths from the direct conflict, direct between Ukraine and England. Sorry, between Russia and England. So she took this chart. She went back to the England. She is not an easy person to. She took and she met the Queen Victoria at the time. She became a lobbyist, and she was going in a Westminster Congress Hall in England. She was walking with the charts. British politicians' nightmare she was. If she would have been alive, she would have given a run for votes for Trump or Johnson or Biden, anybody. She would have given a run for their votes. She is that strong woman, and she took these shots, and she's telling that, you know Russia is not killing the British soldiers. Actually, British politicians are killing the British soldiers because they're not taking care of the people who are injured in the battlefield. So that she said that if she wants a funding for the hospital in the Crimean War, and if she doesn't get the funding, she is going to go to the press. So that's where everybody was nervous. So the British politicians were probably they hated it, and then they gave her funding for the hospital. And then she moved. She went back to the So actually, a road shot is so famous. So where I'm from, Atlanta, Georgia. So W.B. Du Bois is a black African American famous president of a Clark Medical School, Clark School, that Atlanta. He took the chart and he copied the chart into the discrimination in the black for the blacks in the Georgia. So he took it, that he exhibited in the 1900 Paris World Exhibition. That was a very big hit in Paris. So he became famous by copying Florence Nightingale flow charts, the pie charts. So she made the actually pie chart popular because of her. Florence Nightingale did not invent the pie chart, but she was instrumental in making it extremely popular. She invented the road chart. The chart was called a road chart. She invented that. So she took the money from that and she built a hospital called Scutari Hospital in Istanbul, Turkey, right across the Black Sea, where the Crimean Peninsula, where the action going on right now between Russia and Ukraine. She built a hospital. She was not only she was a mathematician, science, and then nursing cared for nursing background, and she understood the concept of architecture. So what she did was she opened up large windows and a lot of light. She thought sunlight can cure a lot of these. The injuries can be healed faster. They can heal faster with a large light and a lot of these things. And then she's the first one who created a modern hospital. She's an architect of the modern hospital, in fact. So she was. Then second thing she did, she's a scientist all the way. She's a love of science. She had the love of science. What she did was she took the carbon lime water and then run through the carbon dioxide inside the room in the hospital. If they become precipitate very milky color, that she knows that it is too much carbon dioxide there. So she wanted the airflow 5,000 cubic feet per hour. She did mathematics and science to combine them together. She maintained the air quality. Actually, in the United States, they followed air quality for the schools, followed her standards, in fact, for a long time. So she is the mother of all this architecture and a scientist. She is so she did she was drastically reduced the mortality rate from 65% to the 2% mortality rate among the British soldiers. That was the biggest achievement. She became popular. Recently, Scientific American, very prestigious magazine in the United States, during COVID time, they gave a tribute to Florence Nightingale. She is ascribing her one of the first hospital architects. She understood the airflow, ventilations, and the light itself. So they gave a tribute to her. She's the first one who started this kind of a air quality and then the hospital architecture. They gave a tribute for her. Scientific American paid a tribute. She's not only that, she's the first prefabricated field hospital in Runkoy hospital in Istanbul, near Istanbul, in the front lines of the war fields. The prefabricated hospitals. She was instrumental in helping them. She created exam room inside. They put the blood pressure. I don't know whether blood pressure and temperature. There's basic stuff. They put that during the 1850s. So she did that. She created the concept of exam room during the process. So she's not that. She's just to think about this woman, extraordinary talent. She created a first interoperability health standards. If you see, I can't read. My glasses are not that great. Number of patients remaining in hospital. Patients. She went back to the. She was not feeling well. She went back to England, London, and she said that all the hospitals in London needs to follow these universal standards. She printed forms, hospital forms, and ask them to what the patient, what day she admitted, and what the diseases are, and when they released, what kind of a treatment they gave. She collected meticulous data. She was unbelievably meticulous in 1800s. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. What a woman. She's interoperability. We are struggling now. She created a single-handedly interoperability. She defined on her own. She loved mathematics and statistics. So my daughter is a statistician. I always tell her about Florence Nightingale. She's a public health epidemiologist. So she's a founder of the Royal Statistical Society in England. She's a founder actually and a member. And the American Statistical Society gave honorary membership. She could not able to travel to. She was not feeling well. She was. They were all the while back. She got a lot of problems. So American Statistical Society president traveled to England and gave her honorary membership to her. So she was a member of the both American Statistical Society and Royal Statistical Society. She was honorary. She was well respected as a statistician, epidemiologist, and the first epidemiologist in my view. So she's a prolific writer. She wrote notes on hospitals and notes on nursing. Everybody knows about that. I don't have to mention. She's a mother of nursing. She did a. She's the architect of the nursing careers. Chimborazo Hospital in Richmond, Virginia. She helped both the Union during the Civil War. She helped the both Union and Confederate armies. Both helped them. She is like an independent woman. She wanted to take care of the peace. She wanted a peace, which Dr. Semikov is talking about. Peace Foundation. We'll be talking with him in a second. But she was she was in India. Village sanitation. She wrote a white paper in 2000 papers in 1890 how the village of sanitation in India should be improved in the Sepoy mutation for the India British Army to survive in India. You need to follow sanitation standards, and then she instrumental in saw the creating sanitation board in India in Mumbai. In fact, so she didn't travel to the United States. She didn't travel to India. She was kind of a sick, she was not feeling well. So she's a founder of a medical tourism. She was the first one suggested to people from Switzerland to Turkey to go to medical tourism to get the procedures cheaper because Switzerland was expensive. The medical procedures were. She was instrumental in sending founder of medical tourism. She was. So she is a mother of medical tourism. And then, so she is a public health advocate, innovator, architect, data analyst, social reformer, and a nurse. Lady with a lamp is a trivial word, is a lost is lady with a lamp. We need to recognize her extraordinary abilities, contributions in the science, mathematics, and healthcare. It is so she said that this is the word what she said during the about the war. I stand at the altar of the modern man, and while I live, I fight their cause. I get emotional every time I read that sentence. I stand at the altar of the modern man, and while I live, I fight them. I fight their cause. That's what she said. What an extraordinary woman! She is a totally. It is a woman that we are Ukrainian Russia. She stood behind and then saved independently. They saved a lot of lives. I'll talk about Dr. Let me bring Dr. Semikov back to the stage and ask him with his foundation what he's doing, like a Florence Nightingale. What do you think of it, Dr. Semikov?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. That's a great example. And indeed, what you said is touching me, my heart, and hearts of many people. And it's one of the examples for us in the work and why we started the Peace and Development Foundation. So just to add to all your story and make a picture complete, I want to mention that if you open Florence Nightingale profile in Wikipedia, you could read she felt genuine religion should manifest in active care and love for others. So her inspiration and motivation also came from belief in God and belief in outcome of faith to help other people. So that's she wrote even a theology book, suggestions for thought. So that's and she was closely working.
You're breaking up a little bit. I don't know why, but you wanted to. Dr. Simkov, I don't know why you're breaking up your internet. Is you may have to rejoin back if you can rejoin.
Help establish peace, prevent large-scale war, unite the society.
What is the name of your Dr. Semikov? You're breaking up. Can you rejoin, please? Yeah. So I don't know why it just. I'm going to. He has to rejoin back. He has to go out and rejoin. Please rejoin. I'm going to send him a rejoin. Okay, good. He's going to rejoin. So is a start a foundation. I think Semikov Foundation, Peace Foundation, is a brutal war going on between. War is not an answer to anything. You know, Violence is the tribal mentality. We need to solve this problem of war. And yeah, he is back. I'm going to bring him to the table. War is not
I'm
a
sorry.
war is not a solution to anything. We have wars, there is a bloodshed going on. Your brothers and sisters, your families, and all involved dying. What achievement they have? This is unnecessary war. In the 23rd 22nd century, we are doing this kind of thing, is killing each other. It's a very uncivilized act, in my view. So, but you are trying to do peace, like what is your foundation name, Dr. Semikov?
Yes, it's Peace and Development Foundation. Indeed, it's not human and it's outdated way of solving problems. But same with cancer, people and their ideas and their mind, it's get corrupted. I believe that without God, and when people believe in wrong God, Putin is a cancer to the society. Though he goes to the church and says he believes in God and he says he's for family values and Christian values, but when we open Bible, book of James, it says that true religion that God accepts is look for orphans and widows, not to make orphans and widows. And this is very different, and how it got corrupted. And there are so many widows and orphans and people who lose their dear ones. Tens of thousands of young people died in Ukraine, twice more in Russia. So many got
Got
injuries.
children.
The recent,
They all got children.
yes, the
They
recent
died for
statistics,
unnecessary thing, right?
yes,
So it is a
the
tragic
statistics
story
that we
there.
see recently in New York Times, it was like statistics that I've seen in New York Times recently is like 300,000 on Russian side, 200,000 on Ukrainian side, killed and injured. And think about their families, dear ones.
Yeah,
So it's terrible.
it's terrible. So what does your foundation do? How do you help the people? What kind of help you provide?
We help Ukrainian people by providing them humanitarian aid, by providing them medical support. We have friends who recently, for example, provided plates, titanium plates for maxillar facial operations, which we have a lot of blasts, a lot of rockets, Russians, a lot of shells on Ukrainian territory, and a lot of injuries. Kids, adults, elderly, a lot of injuries. And these titanium, they are very expensive. It's tens of thousands of dollars. And there were people who donated them. There were people who donate, some hospitals who donate medical equipment, surgical equipment, and it's scarce resource. Some drugs, so all kind of humanitarian medical aid is very valuable, and that's what we deliver to Ukraine. And
Still
finally,
true.
we
Sorry to interrupt you. Still true. Even today, medical failure is one of the biggest things. Medical thing, people don't take care of it. At that time during the Crimean War, the medical thing. Now, even now, in the between Russia and Ukraine, is a medical thing. Is the bigger situation there. You made it extremely well. Made a great point. I think he's freezing up. So, is a peace foundation. Is going to helping in the medical side. Is a
yes, and other
I think you were
And other parties, we try to bring medical expertise into Ukraine by connecting.
maybe you turn off the video.
And then
Maybe your
medical
audio will do very
expertise,
well. You turn off the video
we bring
and
medical expertise.
you're breaking up. Your video is breaking up. You turn off the video. You turn off video and then talk in the.
We also try work to bring medical expertise to Ukraine from US, connected by Ukrainian doctors and American doctors, bringing Ukrainian for observerships and for internships here to the US, and having American doctors sharing with them knowledge and protocols and expertise. You can follow us on news and see some of the events and projects we've done in Vanderbilt University, where a group of transplant doctors came from Ukraine to learn how to better perform heart transplants and how to start perform land transplants, which is a new for them. And now we have few groups of oncologists coming to Ukraine, to AACR and Advent Health, which is the largest nonprofit Christian network of hospitals in the world, and also ASCO and Northwestern Hospital. And right now we're working on few trips of Ukrainian doctors to Nashville, Tennessee, and
Yes.
to
I went.
Philadelphia
By the way,
Fox Chase Cancer Center. So we are connecting medical facilities and connecting people to share experience, learn from each other, and work together on cancer as a disease, and on cancer, as war cancer in relations.
The time is getting over. I wanted to ask you. So actually, I saw that Ukrainian team coming to Nashville because my son went to school in Vanderbilt, and I saw Dr. Bill Frist inviting all these Ukrainian doctors. I saw that video. So thank you, Dr. Bill Frist, doing that, being a helm of the project. So thank you. What is the name of what is the website? What is the name of the website? Your website is.
Peace development.fund. Peacedevelopment.fund. Pray, donate, follow on the Ukrainian flag on the website. So if you get there, you'll know that you're on the website. And yes, just to comment on your remark, it was by Dr. Bill Freestyle that we were able to come and start this collaboration. And we would appreciate if other doctors who may listen to this, they can volunteer and help us to get connections with their centers where they work, to bring more Ukrainian doctors and make connections, which will save many lives in my home nation.
Thank you, Dr. Semikov. You made a. Thank you so much. Our program is getting over. Thank you so much. It is truly an honor to talk with you. It is actually religion is in the center of the compassion and love and compassion, or the center of the religion, any religion. If they process that process, you would do very well. Thank you. It's an honor to talk with you. And you're breaking up a little bit. Sorry about that. So thank you so much. So thank you.
Science is real. We brought vaccines with unprecedented speed to face the present global pandemic.
And appreciate talking to you.
But it is not possible without the help of great giants of science and medicine from the past. We are retelling their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. This is Jennifer, Vice President of Branding at MedBricks. Microsoft founder Bill Gates says, reading about history of science and learning about scientists of the past are an integral part of understanding and appreciating the true science.
If you want to learn science, reading the history of scientists and the story of scientists about when they were confused and what tools or insights allowed them to make the progress they make. So you have the timeline, or you have the map, or you have the branches of science and what's known and what's not known. So incremental knowledge is so much easier to maintain in a rich way.
Talking about scientists, Marie Curie certainly is on top of the list. Despite public shaming about her affair with a colleague, she won the Nobel Prize twice. She designed the first ever medical mobile X-ray trailer called Petite Curie. It saved countless lives during World War I and subsequent wars. She was a prolific scientist and a true feminist of her time. C.V. Raman, scientist from India, and his discovery, called Raman scattering, is fast becoming an invaluable instrument of a diagnostic tool in medical imaging. His discovery is omnipresent in every area of medicine. Paul Dirac of England scribbled a mathematical equation that paved the way for present-day medical wonder called positron emission tomography. It is referred to as PET scan, which is widely used in detecting tumors and cancers with the utmost precision. History might have forgotten Dr. Yella Pragada Subbaraw, but his contributions to the world of medicine is hidden everywhere. This Indian-born medical scientist created the first ever chemotherapy drug called methotrexate that saved countless children with leukemia. Now, the drug is being widely used for other types of cancers. It is also used in the treatment of ectopic pregnancies, rheumatoid arthritis, and several other conditions. He is instrumental in creating the first broad-spectrum antibiotic drug called tetracycline. Let us bring this iconic man, Dr. Yella Pragada Subbaraw, who comes from a small town from the state of Andhra Pradesh, India, to the front lines of world history through Daily Wear for Medicine t-shirts. Lady with extraordinary data analytical skills might have been known as a lady with a lamp in the history books. She was the first woman to use population health analytics to fight infectious diseases. That is Florence Nightingale. British-born aristocrat Florence Nightingale championed the welfare of wounded British soldiers during the Crimean War. She put forward a detailed sanitation infrastructure plan for India to prevent mosquito-bitten malaria and other communicable diseases. She is a brainy mathematician who happened to be a nurse with unbounded compassion to fellow humans. We at Daily Wear for Medicine honor Florence Nightingale through this t-shirt representing every nurse and nursing student following their footsteps of the Nightingale Pledge. We at MedBricks are bringing these remarkable stories through visual art with our patented designs called Daily Wear for Medicine. T-shirts, conference bags, and other forms of merchandise are available through popular online networks. Creating visual art is one of the defining characteristics of the human species. We hope it creates awareness and reiterates confidence in the field of medicine, particularly in times of crisis we are in. We hope you join us in this journey in paying tribute to the contributions made by scientists and physicians alike. Thank you for watching. You can wear it, carry it, and give it.